Okay, there we have it. All right, we'll get this out of the way. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me, Jake Vanderlyn, your host, Karmic Transmission number 47 this evening. Coming at you live from the old basement office. Clint should be joining me here in just a little bit. Ayame's out. She had some work done on her teeth, had some cavities filled and stuff like that. So she's all numbed up and can't really talk. But we hope that she'll recover. She'll bounce back. She's pretty good at that stuff. So she should be doing good here soon. But as always, everyone, thank you again for joining us. To find out what we're all about here at Karma Incarnate, best place that you can always go to is our website, karmaincarnate.com. You can find out what it is we do, how we do it, the entire game plan. It's right there on the website, everyone. It's there for everyone to see how we're going to end hunger. That's the name of the game, and how we're going to get economics and the idea of business and everything else working with it to come in and just tackle these things that we've been working, that we've been facing as a society forever. So it's pretty amazing. But yeah, as always, check out our website, karmaincarnate.com. You can also follow us on, all the social medias, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. I'm sure I'm leaving things out, but we've got plenty of those things. You can always see what we're doing there. Lots of videos go up all the time. We've got tons of old content, lots of new content coming out all the time. So if you haven't followed us anywhere, check out our social medias. Other than that, it's a wonderful Monday night here in Salt Lake City, Utah. It's kind of chilly out. It's been rather cold. We call it the February freeze as we get here in Utah, when it's cold. It gets really cold. We haven't seen the snow though. That's the shame. No snow yet. So, or very little. We could use a lot more. So, but it's been going great. Karma weekend is coming up this weekend. So for those of you that are kind of new and just getting into it, our Karma weekend, we do this every month. Essentially, this is Karma Incarnate's commitment. This is what we're going to do, is every month we have agents and people just like you out there that are selling family food gifts. The ability to just buy food to be delivered to a food bank in your name is essentially what it is. And once we get all that money pooled in, we go ahead and take a weekend, a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and we go and deliver our food. Well, I jumped the gun. We've got to buy it first, because the name of the game, everyone, what we want to do is we want to make an impact at every stage of our process. So on this Thursday coming up, I went and processed payments and did all of our stuff in our back office this week. So Thursday, we get to go buy our food. And what we do with that is we just find out how much we have, and we run to the local grocery store, whether it's a Smith's here in Salt Lake. When we were down in Florida, we hit up Publix Market, because that's kind of the big thing down there. Down in Vegas, we're lucky enough, we've got a Smith's down there that we kind of worked with a few times that we've done that one. But wherever we are, we go find a local grocery store and we buy food. And because we've had so much time doing this over the last 10 years, it's pretty impressive how much we can get for people. We're talking, hundreds of pounds of food that get to go to people in need all the time. It's just incredible. But we'll do that Thursday. And then Friday, we do a labeling event where we get everything kind of prepped and ready to go to the food bank on Saturday. Food banks are typically open for deliveries on Saturday, just because they do their handouts other days. So it works out great for us to get in there and be able to get our food to another distribution center. Hey, Clint, what's going on, man?
Hey, brother, how are you?
Good. I was just kind of giving people the lowdown on what's going on, because it's the Karma weekend coming up this weekend.
Yeah, that's right. Comes around fast, huh?
Oh, they do. They like clockwork, every month. It's like a birthday for people. It comes around once a year. Well, Karma comes around every month to deliver food. It's pretty amazing. And what's cool is, coming back to talking about the fact that we deliver the foods, well, we always try to work with local food pantries and organizations, because they're the people with really boots on the ground that get to know what people need in the local community. It's one of the best parts about Karma, is that we can curtail our purchases and what the needs of the community are to what we deliver to those food pantries, which is just amazing,
Yeah.
So
yeah, I really appreciate that you guys get that delivered every month and get the food bought every month and get out there and are consistent, which is the key,
Bingo, dude. That's the huge part right there, is, if we've said it for years. It's how do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time, and you just got to keep biting. That's the name of the game. But we want to let's bring 10,000 people to this elephant that we're calling karma and see what happens when we all take a bite at once.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, strength in numbers.
mhm. It's that thing that we have in common with ants, us human beings, is when we all get together, we can move mountains.
Yeah, I think that's pretty consistent across species, and across even in, plant and fungi kingdoms. I mean, it's all if there's strength in numbers, they
Mhm.
work together.
It's the truth, man. Well, and it's pretty cool because I was talking about how we're here in Salt Lake, and has it been cold out at your house? It seemed really cold here the last like week or so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm cold now.
yeah,
I got 3 layers on.
really.
Yeah.
You sound like mom upstairs with 3 layers and a space heater and a cat in her lap.
Yeah,
So
I'm in my basement room and it stays a lot cooler down here.
yeah, yeah, that's the truth. Those basements are definitely cooler. That's how this office gets the same way. But one of the cool things in Utah is we've got the largest living organism in the world here in Utah, and it's that the quaking aspens up in it's up north here, up near like um I'm drawing a blank on it, up near Logan and stuff like that. There's that really big crops of quaking aspens that's all one big organism, you know.
Yeah, isn't it up by Fish Lake?
I wasn't sure. Is it Fish Lake? I
I
thought it was
mean,
more
there's
north of us.
yeah, it's like the biggest organism in the world
Yeah, yeah.
because they're all connected at the root.
Hmm.
But it's crazy because you watch those. If I don't know if you've ever watched any stuff on fungi and how they like run their what do they call that, celium or no, goes in the soil, and it like connects everything and it's like a whole network.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and
Kind of
like
like
trees, yeah, like fiber optics or something. And
mhm.
trees communicate with each other and give each other what they need through it and stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, dude. No, and that's what's incredible is the definition, because for the longest time, they talked about that stand of quaking aspens, and I think they've almost said that there's a like a fungus in Colorado that kind of has the same thing where it's all across the forest floor, and they think that it's about the same size as that thing here in Utah, which is just nuts.
Yeah,
And yes, Rex, bragging about organisms is never a good thing. And well, except is there ever really bad press when it comes to organisms? You know, don't think so. But that's like you said, strength in numbers. And what's incredible is how these things evolve and what we learn about them all the time. That's what's one of the coolest things about a lot of that fungus stuff is I was reading about there's a group over in Japan that have actually started working with and cultivating a fungus that eats and can process um, like crude oil and stuff like that. So oil spills that have
right.
been
Yeah,
they can just turn it loose on the oil spills and it eats it all.
yeah, yeah. It's
It's
like the more we study like fungus, it's like there's like huge problem solving
yeah.
elements to it, like across the board.
Oh yeah. And
And you
like you
get
said,
into
it's
all
it's
the
alive.
psychologically to oil spills. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I wish I could remember more of the neat facts. I just remembered like bits and pieces.
Well, I was more interested in like we've always talked about one of the things about karma is that we talk about how these solutions to these problems that we've thought about, these oil spills and industrial issues and stuff like that. Well, nature and human beings working in conjunction with it can always find ways of solving and fixing these issues. Like there's this company, like we said, in Japan with the fungus that eats oil. There was a kid who, when I read the article about him, this was like 5 or 6 years ago, but he was like 14 and developed a way to remove microplastic from the ocean using like
Yeah.
filters and nets and stuff like that. So a lot of these things, it just takes some some clever thinkers and some great innovators. That's what I was looking for, because a lot of it is not even necessarily um, creating something new. It's taking something like a fungus and watching it and using it in new ways.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what karma is through and through. Everything with karma is not about bringing something new to the table or trying to address it with a new invention. It's, let's take what we already have and just get it to the places where it's needed you know
Yeah. And I was talking with Rexy about this last night, and it's like karma does so much more, I mean, than want to feed people. It wants to bring people together, and it wants to distribute wealth.
Mhm.
And the reason we have people that can come up with great and big ideas is because they have the luxury of living in a wealthy, prosperous situation.
Mhm.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you're hungry or you're starving or you're fighting for your life, you don't have time to think about or invent stuff that's going to help change the world.
Yeah, you're too busy worrying about whether or not you're going to eat, and
Yeah.
those little variables like that, they really do. It's incredible, and that's why we're lucky enough to have our we come from a family of entrepreneurs and innovators all the way across the board. With grandpa and dad and everyone else, and it's really pretty cool to see how that idea of I'm sure you were talking to Rex last night at the family cook thing, right, at the dinner.
Hmm.
Yeah, and so it's like, look at that right there. What do Vanderlindens do? They come together and they feed people. They make soup for 40 people to sit around and just hang out and eat, and it's all done because Vanderlindens are willing to build a business that moves freight and gets people things that they need to. It's all about helping and supporting each other, you know. And like you
Yeah.
said, it's coming from that background and having a lot of that taught to us, and having a comfortable enough lifestyle that allows us to say, hey, how can we make that and take that and spread it further, you know because that's the idea, is to make the whole world our family. That's
Yeah.
the whole idea. So exactly, it's not what things are designed to do, it's what we can do with them. It's the name of the game. So, but you're absolutely right, man, and that's cool that you and Rex were kind of talking about that.
Yeah. Well, it was when he came out to the shack,
Hmm.
we chatted it up a little bit. It's always good to talk to Rex and you and people with kind hearts and creative minds, you know.
Yeah. You
Unlike
got a good
myself,
family for
I
that.
have a dark heart and a dull wit.
Oh, not true. Not true. This family, we have an intensity. It's right here, because I get the same thing. I'll try to be joking with people, and everyone's like, are you?" And it's like, dude, I'm just joking. But we just have a delivery with the intense eyes, is what it is.
Yeah.
you know Rex and I, we've got those brown eyes that just tell everybody that we're bullshitting, but with you've got those icy blues, man. It's just, it's why you're the actor in the family. You've got the look for it.
It got me in a fight with Nick Cage, that's for sure.
Dude, that's I still need to see that movie. I need to see that movie.
It's not a very good movie,
Oh, it doesn't
but
matter. It's got you
but
in it.
but
So
yeah, it was neat to meet Nick, because as you know, Raising Arizona is a top 5 movie for me.
yeah.
It's legendary, and he was so great in that.
Mhm.
And despite what people want to say about his career, this and that, everybody knows who he is, and he's won an Oscar.
Mhm.
So he's Nick F and Cage.
Oh, hell
I
yeah.
got to I got to get in a tissy fit with him at a bar.
Yeah.
And
Take a punch from him, right?
yeah, well, told him to leave and shoved him towards the door, and he came back to talk. And then I punched him, and then he knocked over some glasses and a pitcher, and then I threw him into a table, and he got up and pulled a gun on me, and then he pistol whipped me, and then I went down.
See, that's awesome. That's a great freaking scene, man. That's for no other reason than just to see that, because how many people can say that they've got to act in a scene with Nick Cage? You know, that's
Yeah,
and that's the kind of stuff that, like you said, it's creative and innovative people being living in a lifestyle that allows them the flexibility to do these things and chase these passions that they want to do, and things that just speak to the heart, because that was always cool. It was just like going on set when you were filming Unicorn City, dude. That was a blast, you know. So getting to meet John Grice and all those guys, that dude, not
yeah,
many people get.
that was that was seriously just a blast.
Yeah.
That was a magical time because I was in between jobs, and so I just had that whole summer off. And we
Mhm.
filmed Unicorn City, and of course I was already with close friends, Brian and Adrian, and then meeting all the cast and the crew and stuff. And they had a dynamite crew out of BYU they were just ultra professional and just good people, and made a lot of friends. Made a lot
Mhm.
of friends, and it led to like 3 jobs that I had after that
Yeah.
with I guess it would be Evermore and The Void. Working for Ken and then Evermore and The Void. That all spawned out of filming that movie, that little independent movie.
Mhm.
And it really helped, shape a big part of my life
Yeah.
for, up until now.
Oh,
So,
absolutely, man. Absolutely. That.
and that just goes to show, I mean, and that really was the start of my acting, you know.
Mhm.
I can't call it a career, but my little acting hobby that I do, and that was the start, and that's because I had a great relationship with Brian, who I knew in high school.
Mhm.
So it just goes to show you, it's community, it's people,
Yeah.
and I think it's really neat, and crucial that we have this ability to reach out through social media and the internet, and you can really expand that,
Mhm.
and really expand your group of loved ones and friends, but also, you know, keep tabs on those relationships and stick together no matter where you are in the world.
Oh yeah.
And you just got to stay out of the fights, you know,
Dude, that's.
because with everything, as we know, the yin and yang of this life and chaos and order, whatever you want to call it, there's always going to be a bad side to everything that's cool and good.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And and there's no telling when and how and what's going to come of it. The best thing that we can do is control our reactions and know that it's, and just be aware of that, what we can do with it, right? But it's, dude, like you said, it's all about that community, and it's such an incredible thing, because dude, those communities are the key to all of it. That's how we get through anything in this crazy world that we live in, is we do it through our close communities, by having those friends and families and loved ones that we can help lean on and support us through some of the hard times, and in turn give our support and assistance to as things go through, because that's what brought humanity here. It wasn't, we can say it's all the technologies and the tools and everything else, but the only real reason that humanity is where it is now is because we will love and care for and look after each other when things get rough, you know. there's a lot of species out there that won't do that, or they'll do it to a limited capacity, but humanity will do it on very, very interesting scales, things that almost don't make any sense, you know. And
Yeah.
it's incredible. That's why I say all of this stuff is only here because we care about each other, because we want to do incredible things, and we know that it takes more of us to get it done. You know, it wasn't JFK that got us to the moon. It was NASA and all the people and the resources and the contractors. It takes massive amounts of people and resource and energy to get that kind of stuff done. And so if we can do it for novelties, if we can turn those resources into creating things like computers and social media and literally accomplishing things like getting to the moon, why don't we turn that energy and that resource onto ending problems, solving, things like hunger and stuff? And that's where the truest part of it all comes out, is that it has to come down to an economic system to make it work. you know the reason that we did a lot of those things is that the resources flowed into the right areas to make it happen. Well, as we know, the right area for humanity to grow and for humanity to develop is the local communities, the close knit, right here where we can see and touch and feel and interact. That's where we can have the most impact. And if we can just make that a ripple, something that hits everybody, then we've got a chance, because that's what we're all looking for, is a chance, right? There's no
Yeah.
telling what it'll actually be. There's no saying that it's going to solve all the problems, but at least it's a chance and a direction and a way to at least try, you know.
Well, yeah, and you talk about making the most impact locally, and it's just, it always falls back to Mother Nature, man, and the universe. It's like everything is scalable. So it's like, if you want the best world to live in, then start out, when you need to influence that, you got to have one of the better countries to live in. Influence that, it's got to be made up for great of states or districts, or what you break it down into the act, clear down into the individual, where it's like, if you treat people well and treat yourself well, you are making a better world. And it's all scalable, but it starts with the individual. But we're all part of the same organism.
Exactly. The human organism.
And it's that way throughout the universe. An atom is a solar system, and so on, right?
Yeah.
And just different clumps of matter revolving around each other, influencing each other, and reacting to each other. So you might as well keep that as positive and on the side of the light as much as you can.
Yeah. The touch of the creative that goes with it, because that's apparently the energy that the universe enjoys the most, because that's why we're here. That's what gives us the ability to even function, is that creative side. So work with it, and that's a very positive trait. And dude, it's amazing, because you're 110% correct. It's and it's why the best thing that we can do, because you talk about local and individual, Rexy and I can't tell you that little brother of ours, he's a machine. He's literally, he's like a friggin' robot. He just kind of
He doesn't sleep. He doesn't sleep enough.
Dude, he got done driving truck at 4 this morning and met me at the gym at 6 so that we could go do our laps and get all of our stuff in before he went back to driving, doing cranes and shit. Like, he is a machine, that one. And he makes me look bad. We go to the gym and I'll be like through lap 3 and I'm huffing and puffing and he's just kind of going. There's Rexy. It's insane. But
well, he's got a strong will.
Yeah.
He had a strong will growing up. When he wouldn't eat his food, he'd sit there all night.
Yeah. Well,
he missed out on everything until they sent him to bed. He's got the will of,
when he's got his mind made up, that's what needs to happen. And that's one of those things, like you said, it's about that consistency and that commitment and sticking to what you say you're going to do. You want to talk about improvement, it starts right there. it always starts at the level of the self. If you want to feel a little bit better, if you want to be a little bit more positive, start doing something yourself, and then be excited to share it, because that's how you can start infecting other people. And that's what's the best part about getting back into those positive headspaces. They do become addictive, and they become something that other people crave and want to have the more that they're around it. So it's all about starting with the self, and working that way out, you know.
Well, it's crazy how responsibility and consistency and hard work actually ultimately create freedom for you. Because if and I'm one to talk for this, because I tend to get lazy and complacent and like to screw off, and I'm trying to get better every day, and I've fallen into depression and stuff where it feels like life doesn't have much meaning, and it's like, because you forgot to do all the little things, so I started journaling and doing this and that, and I'm still coming out of it, and kind of out of the depression and stuff, but it's like you got to do all those little things, like you and Rexy working out, like that's inspiring to me. That makes me want to get up and work out tomorrow,
dude
you know
dude
and
when you get done gardening Wednesday morning, come to the gym with us, man. Come do some laps.
dude,
It's
no
we can
way.
get you in for free. You ought to come give it a shot. We'll even twist Dad's arm, get him out there, because he I would like to see him do that rather than go in for surgery or anything, with how he's been complaining about his back, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah, there's a lot of I mean, thank God for the medical industry and for doctors, and then that there's a lot of holistic approaches and other approaches you can take
yeah.
that won't break you and break the bank. But that's a whole nother discussion, and that goes
Oh yeah.
across the board. All of our great systems that we've built that really make it so this life we are all sharing together now is better than it's ever been in the history of the world. Easier, more stuff, more things, more ways to do things,
Yeah.
more possibilities, more opportunities. With all its greatness, it's going to have its warts and its bad actors that are going to try to manipulate it so they can get more for themselves, and they don't realize that there's enough for everybody.
Mhm.
And how did we get on that?
Are you meaning, like, how did this conversation
Oh,
get there, or how did
yes, yeah,
society get
yeah.
there?
We're just talking about the medical industry and
Oh, oh,
pharmaceutical industry. It's like
oh.
they're great things, but there's always the bad side of everything you got to watch out for. And if
Hmm.
you're a society of better people working together, then those things are less likely to manifest, right?
Well, it's one of those things, and where we got how we got there in the conversation is talking about bettering yourself, and because we live in an absolute age of wonder, you know. The sheer fact that, and let's just, you know, Rex and me going to the gym, right? The sheer fact that we live in a society where, you know, the majority of the hard things to live, right? I don't have to carry water from a stream to my house in order to bathe and eat and drink and do things throughout the day, right? I don't have to
Right.
go out and tend a pasture and a farm with animals and crops and everything else so that I can make sure that I've got enough food. You know, these little things that we tend to forget, and small kindnesses that are forgotten by people. It's pretty amazing how interconnected we all are. So much so that there is enough leisure time, and I have to stress the fact it's leisure time. Rex and me going to the gym and swimming in the morning, that's leisure. That we might be getting something out of it, but it's our spare time. You know, spare time in human existence has only existed for a very short amount of our existence, and it's interesting the things that we choose to fill it up with. And the more positive things that we fill it up with, the better our society could be, right? And the one thing that we run into, and this is coming back around um to the pharmaceuticals and stuff, is that everybody knows too much of a good thing can become bad for you, right? Go ahead and drink a lot of water, but you can overhydrate and end up making yourself really sick, you know. Put
Yeah,
too
you
many
can die.
vitamins in your body and it can become toxic and septic and it can make you sick. Too much of a good thing can always become bad. And that's where it becomes our duty as people, just kind of watch those things and work ourselves, because this is the biggest one, is we have no right rhyme or reason to ever think that we can tell others what they need to do. But if you can recognize something, it's on you to start working with it and changing your lifestyle to not consume those things, or not to participate in them, because you can see what's going on, you know. And that's the part that's kind of crazy, is again, it's all about that local level. You've got to bring it down to what you can control and what you can influence, and that community. Because by building a community of people, you can have a greater influence. And that's one of the crazy things that we've always talked about with karma over the years. In all the time that we've been doing this, and all the hypotheticals and projections and things that we've talked about, is that you know karma is not going to save the world, but it's gonna change it. And that's because there's no telling what kind of world we would actually live in if hunger and poverty and all these things were not a concern. You know, there's Nostradamus, nobody, there is no soothsayer or fortune teller that could ever predict what kind of world we would have with those problems solved. But I think it'd be a hell of a cool world to live in. And so that's why I think it's worth fighting for and trying to get to
Yeah.
that level. And that's why we do what we do in the end, is we want to share this idea and share a common goal, because dude, if we change all of those things, who knows what it turns into. But I think it's definitely a better one because it's a positive one, and positive
Yeah.
things tend to yield positive
Yeah.
outcomes.
Spreading good karma and using all these tools to our advantage, and working together gets us to the next level on the video game.
Exactly.
You know, it that's the next lesson to learn, is how to navigate all this information we share back and forth at instantaneous speed across the world,
Mm,
and put it to good use,
yeah.
you
Oh,
know.
and there's a lot of good out there. That's the best part, is there's still so many options and so many ways that we can do it. And it's going to get even easier as we keep getting into these things, because I don't know about you, man. I've been getting a lot closer to starting to like with the work that we've been doing in the back office and getting everything moving that way. Family food gifts are all sellable. We've actually been testing it with some of the family and everything. So we're
Hmm.
getting really close to where we can start looking at doing something like the fair this fall and stuff like that, to go out and get a booth and sell family food gifts at it, and things like that. And really, I'm excited for those, because for as much as I love this technology, the social media and all of this stuff that it brings to us, there's still nothing better than getting out, face to face, eye to eye with people, and sharing an idea, you know, because
Yeah.
it's so powerful. It's why everybody loves podcasts and all of these things, is it brings that humanity back to the actual foreground, right? When you're sitting down listening to two people having a discussion, you feel like you're a part of it, even though you might not be participating. It gives you that illusion of that connected humanity behind it all. And that's the thing that no amount of technology is ever going to be able to replace. And it's where I think we're going to see some incredible growth with karma, and just more food going to people in need. That's the big one right there, is when, like you said, when people have got food, when resources are prevalent and people can just have them, what do we do next? Well, how does humanity act? And it'll be really cool to see what can come from that. So,
Hmm.
but that's what
Yeah,
I'm
it's
excited for. Is I can't wait to get back into that interaction
yeah.
side of things. So,
Get through the COVID scare, and hopefully they don't engineer a new scare to freak everybody out
eh,
and give us some time to get together, you know.
I think that
Or maybe if they keep doing that, like the truckers in Canada and people waking up, they're just going to be like ineffective on us because there are going to be too many people seeing through the BS.
well, there's not
Not to
enough.
say COVID's a BS, but this, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the whole
Our
thing. Um,
our
they
leaders and our media and the systems in place that we've got to feed us a bunch of bullshit.
Oh, there's nothing to say that we even have to give that stuff their due, because the one thing that I remember is I know that farmers markets were going last spring, summer, and fall. You know what I mean? And that's the beautiful part about having small communities and local peoples, that they can't there's, unless every single person is not only willing but is wanting to play the part of the police officer, there's no way that you can police all of humanity. There's just too many people. So why even worry about that? Why not worry about our local home communities and things right here and now? Because if we make those so strong and so sturdy that they're impervious to these things, if a community that
Hmm.
feeds itself and takes care of itself, doesn't matter what they want to say, we're going to be all right, because in the end we've got it taken care of, and that's the most important thing, you know. So
Well, and then
those
yeah, and it's
local communities are key.
absolutely like we were talking about before, everything's scalable.
Hmm.
So if
Bingo.
if you're so if other communities that aren't doing so good look at your community that's doing great, they can learn something from that and grow. And so you that's the way to affect people, is
Yeah,
by example,
exactly.
right?
Exactly.
So it's, you want a better world, start with bettering yourself and then scale that.
Dude, it's Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror.
Right. Yeah.
So, because it's absolutely true, and it starts with those little things. And the biggest thing that I would tell everybody, the biggest and the best thing that you can do to start making that change in your life is what karma truly means, which is take some action, do something, you know, get up and go for a walk every now and then, get up and, go do some swimming, you see, go, just get out and do something, take a little bit of action, you'll see that it inspires more. And from there, it's just a matter of time before you're wanting to go out and do more for others. Or, you know the one thing, and Clint, I got to talk to you about a day. I want to do uh plasma, blood and plasma donation, all of that stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
um I want to pick a day, and I want to get it early enough, because the one thing that we need to make sure that we have done is that, it's with you working nights and me kind of working days here, we want to make sure that we've got a good time for it to work out. But things like that, little simple things that you can do to help be a positive impact in your community, can stretch miles. It doesn't take much, but as you do it, you'll find new ways that you can interact and do more positive good, you know. So
Right.
that, and then share. That's the other big one, is don't be afraid to talk about what you're doing. You don't have to have the best rhetoric or the greatest vocabulary, but just share, and share honestly, and and um authentically. That's the big one. It's been kind of a long day today, brains all over the place. But if you're just authentic and honest about everything that you're doing and share with people, your community is going to grow naturally. You know.
Right.
And that, like you said, that's the key. You know, if we had numbers, what's crazy is it all comes down to numbers. And if anybody remembers things about percentages, it doesn't matter how many people you're looking at. A percentage is a percentage is a percentage. 10% of 1,000, 10% of 10,000. It's all a percentage, and that's where the most amazing part of humanity comes from, is that it doesn't take all of us to influence and make like massive amounts of change. You know, the Revolutionary War. I always come back to this one because it's such an interesting perspective. But when America broke away from Britain and everything during the Revolution, it was only 3% of the population of the Americas that wanted to break away, that started the revolution and got everything moving, that built where we are now. 3% of the population. That's not very much. But when you think about it, 3% of just the population of Salt Lake City, we got like 300,000, 3 million people, something like that here. But these are staggering numbers compared to what they were dealing with then. And if you could just think of a group that size doing something like cleaning up plastic, or doing whatever their passion is, man, the world would be such a different place than where we are now, because it doesn't take much. You just have to choose what you want to do and go act on it. So, and action isn't
Yeah,
isn't
dude.
restricted yet from what I've been seeing. That's it's one of the coolest parts about it. Is we still live in a free society where we can go do things like that. You want to go clean something up, you still can. So for now.
For now, yeah, then I think the better we all can be, obviously, will make it a little less likely that we'll devolve into some sort of tyranny, state of
Well,
tyranny, right?
they can't take
I
away
mean,
what's already taken care of. You know,
right,
that's
right.
that's the big
People,
one.
governments can be bad, but people also tend to deserve the government they get. There's a give and take there. So
Mm.
you got to be good people.
Well, and that's not to say that they don't do good things, because that's the one thing that no matter
Who?
no matter what you want to give them, bureaucrats and bean counters need jobs too. And thank God that they love doing that stuff, because I don't want to do it. You know,
Yeah.
that's the
No, it's
incredible thing is you let people play into their strengths and do those parts that truly give them passion and excitement. And it's amazing the things that they'll get done.
right.
It's just finding a way to get it to work. Um, Working together collectively, having not only the science but the philosophy and everything to make it work together is a whole nother avenue. And for every one of us, it's different. That's the coolest thing about our unique individuals that we have in just the world as a whole, is that everybody's wants, needs, desires, they're so different and so varied. It brings a lot of color and flavor to the world, but it does make it tricky for that diplomacy to work, you know. So
Yeah. And it's it's easy to talk about, being better and stuff, but we've been very lucky, and it's like if you kind of can rise everybody up out of poverty, then everybody's going to be able to work on themselves and work on their communities and scale it up. You just you just got to spread the love, man.
bingo. It's, and dude, it's about love. That's the craziest part about it all, is the love, and that that defines humanity in a nutshell. I think, is that if we truly want to grow and evolve and become something more, we've got to do it through love. We've got to do it through that strength and that caring side of us that everybody has. And that's the crazy part is even those people on the outsides of humanity, the sociopaths and stuff that everyone worries about, even they have that love and that passion, because what do you think it is that drives them so much? It's just that it's kind of the focus of it is very different. And
Well, they're broke. I mean, if they're I mean, yeah, I mean,
well,
a
it's a total
psychopathic
self-love.
personality is great if they've been able to channel that into being, into building a skyscraper, coaching a football team. I
Yeah.
mean, they're winners. They're, or some of these athletes like Michael Jordan, I pretty damn sure is a psychopath,
Mm.
but he channeled that into doing good things and
Into something
achieving.
productive. And that's why
Right.
I say these things, you've got to let them be for what they are, because you can't control that side of people, but at the same time you want to encourage good growth and positive growth. And that's the part that's been so hard, is that the encouragement has always been um more like self-oriented is what it comes down to, that everything about the improvement, everything about that growth that those people want to do is totally focused on the self, right? And wanting them to focus to help others or to try to do something more, like Michael Jordan focused everything on his basketball, but he used what he did through basketball to create organizations and other things, because I think he's got a couple of like charitable foundations and stuff for things that he works on. And that's where I say those people, you've got to let them have that, because in the end it will come back around. Once they've started to satiate that ego side that drives them so much, you'll see just how much good they can do for it. Because it's like, dude, I saw a thing where, like, after Iron Man and everything hit big,
Mhm.
Robert Downey Jr. got crazy into nanotechnology and stuff like that, and he holds something on like 9 patents for nanotechnology to clean up ocean, like garbage and refuse and stuff in the ocean. You know, and
Yeah.
that's same
Yeah.
exact kind of mentality, all built from that
And
that want and desire for the self, but they see what they can do good with it.
well, and here's a guy who struggled with a major drug problem, and he ran the gamut in Hollywood.
Yeah.
When he was young and into, well, and later in life, and he caught hell for that, went to prison and got ostracized, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But look at his influence now.
Mhm.
And it's a good thing, it's good to realize. That's what I hate about all this stuff that goes on, like this Joe Rogan situation. It's like, quit digging stuff up about people that's negative. What are they doing now, and how are they impacting people now, and
Yeah.
how have they improved? Because none of us are perfect. No, there's no single angel sitting at a keyboard typing that's a perfect angel that's going to fix the world. You know what I'm saying? We all have our demons. We all have our things we need to
Mhm.
change, and we all grow and change. And it's always best to give people the benefit of the doubt, really see what they're doing
Mm.
to
No,
affect
and
people.
that's the absolute truth too, man. Is when it comes down to it, it's quit, look and see what people are doing and how they're acting now, and that's what you need to judge them on, because that's like you said, that's there's so much growth and so much change. The people that we were in high school back when, you were filming Senior Psycho and stuff like that, and we were playing magic cards and stuff. The people that we've grown into and become are so different than what people would have pegged us for. There are mannerisms and things that you could still say, oh, you didn't change. But in all reality, everybody changes so much. And to deny the growth of individuals is to basically deny yourself the ability to grow too. That's all that you're doing, is you're saying, if I can't grow, nobody can grow. And now you're just selling yourself short. People are so much more capable than they want to give themselves credit to be, you know. And it can be scary sometimes to go out to put yourself out there and to take that kind of a dive, to make a commitment to something, or to want to go out and chase down your greatest passion and turn it into something more. It takes a lot of effort, and a lot of times it's easier to just kind of shrink back and not do it. But it's um I don't even know where I was going with that one. I kind of got lost on it, to be honest with you.
No, I'm with you, man.
Because but no, that, like I said, that shortchanges yourself the ability to grow if you're not willing to give it to others, you know. And especially with how quickly things move and evolve and the nature of information flow these days, dude, you've got to be willing to give people a little bit of some leeway on things, because there's no way that you can keep up with the new definitions or terminologies or whatever. It's too much, you know. So you've got to give people that leeway to be human, right?
Yeah.
Because that's
Well,
that's the other side of it too, is we're all
well,
human.
it comes down to people's ego and really how they think of themselves. You know what I mean?
Mm,
It's like if you feel bad about yourself, you're more likely to feel bad about the world and other people,
yeah.
you know. And you can get into this whole thing, but this I don't know. It's too late to get into the cult that's going on, the indoctrination of young minds. But
Mhm.
it's it's there's some
Oh,
sinister things at play there, you
it's
know?
weird. It's really weird, and that's why it's good to know. And this is the one thing that you always I always try to keep in my mind. And I would recommend for everyone is to remember that when you see those things, it has to exist for us to know what we're not. If you want to say that you're a good guy, then there has to be a bad guy out there for you to say that's not me, you know. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, I it doesn't mean the best of things all the time, but these dualities have to exist in order for us to know what is and is not, and how to work within it and move with it, because that's the only way that, unfortunately, I can recognize an experience that maybe I don't want to participate in. Because unfortunately, we talked about early on, we talked about the individual, and something that we always talk about, and Rex runs through it all the time, but it's, you know, each and every one of us is the sum total of the entire universe, the entire collective cosmos, looking back at itself right here. If I were to die and go away, my perspective and everything of the universe goes with me. Boom, done. We are all a part of it, because in order for the universe to exist, it has to be observed. And who's the observer? You, me, Rex, Mom, Sarah, everybody joining us on the podcast, not everybody watching. We're all part of that collective, right? And what's incredible is that each one of us, for as much as we are connected to that grand thing that is the cosmos, that is all existence, I can only experience it as this thing that's Jake Vanderlyn and talking to you right now. That is the extent of my experience. But if I want to know what other experiences exist, all I have to do is look around me and I can see them. And that's the best way that we have to navigate this entire thing that is there. So it's important that they're there. It's a shame that we run into them the way that we do, because you're right, it is such a hard thing to see the negative, but there's nothing that you can do for it. In some cases you can't save people from themselves, as I say all the time, you know because it just, that, like I said, that's why you got to give people again, that leeway, that breadth of being human. And
Yeah.
I
Give
um
them the same understanding you would hopefully give yourself, you know?
there used to be a fantastic saying that people used all the time, and it goes, there but for the grace of God go I. Meaning that at any given moment anything could happen and I'd be the guy in the ditch, I'd be the guy in the gutter. It doesn't matter. But it's recognizing, being willing to see, it doesn't take much for one person to be where I am, where, Joe Rogan is, where, you name it, Michael Jordan, it doesn't take much for anybody to be into these things. It's a lot easier to go down though than it is to go up. That's the one thing that everybody has to keep in mind. It takes effort, takes action, it takes karma to actually make those things go, because that's all that it is it's action and reaction with the universe. So it's pretty powerful, but it's the other side, it's hard, because nobody likes to see it. It's hurts the heart, because that's that one thing that makes humanity interconnected, is we all have that love and that care for each other. But man, it's hard. It's really hard, man, because it is. Like you said, it's a weird thing that we're seeing out there. So,
Pisses me off.
well, yeah. Well, you know what happens when you get pissed off? You go do something about it. Take some action.
Yep.
You go
That's
out
how
there
you
and
use it.
feed someone, or you help someone, and you show people that it's not near as bad as they think it is. So, because we're not going to let it. That's the end of it right there. I'm tired of people telling me that that's just the way that it is. And
Yeah, well, that's it right there. I think if maybe one of the last points we'll make here is, if you want to like things to go better in this circus that we're running here, that's policed, conceivably by corrupt idiots. And the best thing you can do is get off your soapbox a little bit and listen and try and understand. And before you get into these shit matches, agree that you're both looking for the truth and not to be right.
Mhm. It's a good place to start. It's an
Yeah.
excellent place to start.
Listen, the conversation goes both ways. You got to remember to listen.
So that I heard it on a show once. There's and take it for what you will, but there's that old, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth, because it's twice as important to listen than it is to talk.
Yeah.
That was the whole. That was, and what's funny is these sayings and things have existed forever, and oddly enough, these young kids don't hear them anymore. They don't know them anymore. They don't, and I think
Right.
just if they had a few of those things, it would do.
Sticks and stones, dude.
Bingo.
Sticks and stones has been lost upon all this malarkey. It's
but
like,
it would do the world
people are going to say
so
bad
much good.
things. Do you really want a government entity to control who can say what? And then where do you draw the line? Then who gets to decide what's a bad thing to say? It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
So sticks and stones, you got to go back to those fundamentals.
Yep. Bingo. So, but I think you're right, man. I think that's a good spot to end it for tonight, because anything else, and it's going to be another 2 hours or so on this thing.
Well, it was awesome to just talk to you, man.
Dude, it was a good one. This is a really good one, man. Thank you so much for joining me. It's always fun getting to. This is the coolest part about it, is just getting a chance, and it's harder. I almost think that these one-on-ones kind of things need to become a little bit more standard, and I got to get off my ass and get that podcast studio done. I need to get a few things sold and a few things moved out of the way, because if we can get it, like I said, again, get closer together, bring the humanity back into it, I think it's going to get even better from there. So,
well, dude, if you need help, let me know, because I don't work during the day. I help this guy Brent, but it's flexible. So if you need help moving stuff around or whatever,
I'll talk to you a little bit later, because I do have a couple of things that I might need some help manhandling around, and so maybe picking a day later this week or sometime next week would be something that we want to do.
Nah, I'm busy.
Okay.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Anyway, well, guys, thank you for joining us. This is Karmic Transmission number 47. Now you got Clinton, Jake Vanderlyn, and with you as always. It's a pleasure to have you guys with us. If you really want to know what Karma Incarnate's all about, what we're out there doing every month, check out our website, karmaincarnate.com. Feel free to contact any one of our agents. Reach out to us on any of our platforms. We've got Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, social media, all that kind of jive. Reach on out to us on Twitter. We're at the Karmic Feed if you want to find us on there. And as always, guys, you know, get out and do something. Like we said, if you take a little action, try to do something good for people, and just see how it makes you feel. And I'll tell you this much: if it makes you feel good, do it again. And if you really want something fun, come join us for a Karma weekend as soon as they're back up and running. Because I'll tell you what, they're just a blast. So, but until next time, guys, Karma out, Clint. Right?
Okay.
See you, man.
See ya. Love you.
Love you too.